All right, we'll go ahead and begin. Let's see. What's the update on Shindia for the
Cynthia's actually already listening to episodes, but she just haven't updated the paper.
which episode is she listening to?
She haven't got back to me, but she just said, "Yeah, I already listened." But when I asked which, and then she didn't got back.
Perfect. Hey Google,
Oh, sir.
turn off the floor fan. Yes.
Also, sir, like the last steps of the paper, I see that ready for discussion. What will it be look like actually?
Or it will just look like we get together and we trade stories, right? So,
Mm,
if you have any points, like Brent the Runner, there's a lot about I think um, sexual harassment at work, which is pretty interesting.
mm,
Being told off that you're not good enough and
yeah, rejected right away.
rejected, and also about hustle, about how remember how they went to Diane van Flossberg or whatever. Um,
Yeah, and said that the one that said she doesn't want to talk to you.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm just in the blog. I'm just gonna come and drop.
yeah,
Which
they
part
just
that is
walked
not
away. Yeah.
clear that she just doesn't want to talk to you.
That's exactly what we're doing. So it's exactly like being able to relate these stories about how other entrepreneurs had these challenges, and then thinking about what an opportunity looks like. Like they could have just walked away and said, "Hey, look, we got rejected. Too bad," but they didn't. They just pretty much crashed into the office. Okay, all right. The floor is over to Vita. Vita, take it away.
Right. Anna, can you hear my voice?
Oh, bring it over here. Bring it over. The
Yes.
recording's over on this side. Yeah. Okay. Oh, okay. Dance around
Okay then. So, hi
Do you
everyone.
get the mic, or maybe use the mic? That
Can
would
you
make
can
things
you hear me
clear.
now?
I can hear you, but maybe using the mic would be better.
How about now? Is that better?
Yeah, that's better.
Okay, so it's speaking.
Okay. So, hi everyone. Good to see you again, and
Hello.
we'll be physically together soon.
Yeah, yeah, we can
Yay!
do this without having to
Yes.
use the pier. Okay.
Yeah. We still need for the recording. All
True. True.
right then. So, let's go for Saturday discussion. I'm gonna chair today's meeting. Who's secretary? Ara will be the secretary.
I'm gonna be the recorder actually.
Very
Right?
currently recording on this side, Ara. So
Okay.
Okay, I'll just
okay.
secretary.
The secretary.
Okay.
All right then. The recording is starting. So let's go for the old business on Saturday. The first one is on business data scientist. So update from Lily, sir.
Yeah. So Lilis is. I've given her 5 days, about a week, to consider her package. She wrote back to me this morning, and it was actually a pretty good question. She questions about how to earn the bonus. Very good question. She talked about what the expectations are for a trial candidate and about career metrics. So those are very good questions. Those are questions from a person who wants to, I think, accept. So that's the update on that. And I think above 50% chance you'll accept.
And which day is this that we are waiting for the 5 days?
I've given her a week since about 2 days ago. So
Okay,
what is
so,
2 days ago? 2 days. Hey, buddy, welcome in.
so about 5 more days.
Yeah.
So Friday.
Yes, let's
Or-
look for. Hey, buddy, welcome in.
Oh no,
Okay.
so today is Saturday, so Thursday.
Next Thursday, yeah.
Okay, so we get back to Lily's next Thursday.
Yes, please.
Mrs. Secretary, can you put notes there that we will ask for Lily's update?
Who will ask?
Jing.
Jing will ask Lily's update next Thursday. I believe it's before Max.
Huh?
Before
Before?
that one. That's different. Yeah, that one. Oh yeah, sir. Yesterday, so
Oh,
that let's say if Lilis accept the offer, right?
yeah.
So it means that we have one revenue manager already. So do we still need another one or?
Yes. Hire as if nobody is permanent.
Okay.
I think that's probably the best strategy because even if Lilith just passes, revenue management is pretty crucial for everything now for the front end of the business developer. So I think we should probably be double reinforced on that. So we can continue hiring. If we have two, that's great. If we have one person quit, then at least we have a backup. Right?
So if So if we have Lilis on board, then like, is she going to take care of the whole company revenue
Okay.
manager?
So Lilith is mostly working on this, right? She will work on PCI in the beginning, so revenue patrol, forecasting. But what I really want her to work on is PCE. How do you actually refine this process to the most excellent stage, and to be working on projects, and to really be analyzing the current method. So the current method is an analysis of how the algorithm works. The next step is to analyze this analysis and see if this analysis is the best that we could possibly have. So it's a little bit different from everybody else's missions. Mostly everybody else is working on like PCC and PCI work for revenue management. So we will do the patrols, especially because I need also the other people to be freed up, so that they don't get tied down. But the funny thing is, because we're paying them now, a lot of them don't want to let it go either. So
Where
so they're sure, yeah, yeah. I said, Tendy, do you want to give it up? He said, no. I haven't asked Alvin yet, but I'd imagine that they wouldn't want to give it up now because they're becoming more competent on it. So it's not a bad thing. It's better to have more revenue coverage, but we need to have a specific person to say this person is the lead on it, and everyone else is just involved in helping them out. Okay, so yeah.
I tagged you on Trello yesterday, sir. So I interviewed a candidate applying for business data scientist.
Oh, okay,
So he's a fresh grad from math in my university.
okay.
So he had the correct expectation actually about like revenue analyst and everything. So I passed it to you for second interview
Oh, okay. Yeah,
on Trello.
I haven't checked Cello very often, so that's my blind spot now. I'll check. What's
I'll
his name?
remind you again. His name was Radifan.
Okay, that's fine. Is he okay with coming to Bali?
Yeah,
Okay, great. Yeah,
he's
sure.
actually looking for job in Bali,
All right.
Bali and Surabaya.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay then, so that's all about the business data scientist, and then moving on for the next discussion about Singapore internship.
Yes. Okay. So Max from Ian has given us a new round of candidates, or three new ones. I looked at these are the two candidates I saw. There was Divya and Maybell. I scanned their CVs. I originally delegated this to Nunli, but Nunli didn't really do anything. So I have asked to interview both these candidates through careers. If you guys see this, please ping me and let me know,
Okay.
right? And I'll follow up with interviewing them on internships. Okay.
Okay, moving on to me about partnership with Activate. So they already resend the contract to careers email. But I will just need to ask to talk to Mo and ask Mo to sign because they need the person who sign is the person whose name is on the
On the PT.
like yeah on the PT certification things. I will ask Mo today. Um, Mr. Secretary, can you tag me there that today I will talk to Mo to sign the partnership with Activate. And then moving on to the next discussion, to Ara to get Jing in touch with accounting UGM.
Yeah, I think Jing going on LinkedIn first, right?
Yeah, sorry. So for Jing,
Yes, I've noticed that there's a few candidates that are sitting in the message pipeline right now, and I need them to be moved out. This is coming a few times from content. There's a few content candidates that are in the pipeline, and content tells me every day they need extra people. So let's move quickly to get them through. There was one guy. I think I already sent it to you, Ara, right?
Mm,
Okay,
yeah.
and there was another one I think on business development too. Um, Vita that had given their numbers, and there was just kind of hanging there. As a suggestion, may I suggest that after you're in touch with them, please archive the conversation so that it sharpens
I
the
see.
and makes it more clear, like what the status is. So this is
Okay.
exactly the same method that we do for our shared emails on
Enquiries too, right?
exactly. So
Yeah.
yeah, that makes it more clear so that we don't keep on reapproaching.
Okay.
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 noted. So, Mr. Secretary, can you tag both of us to take action on this LinkedIn messages? And then moving on to Ara about accounting UGM.
Mm. For accounting, I already attached the number since Jing requested for lecture numbers. I already got one, so maybe try to contact that one first. Let me know if it doesn't work.
Okay.
Okay. So yes, sir.
Who is this person? What is their department? And what? I need a little bit more
Yeah,
context.
yeah. Just okay. Sorry, I didn't put it there. So just say that hello, Mr. Sumiana, as one of the lecturer in accounting major in Fakultas Ekonomi FEB UGM.
Okay. Okay.
I'll attach.
Okay. Thank you.
All right then.
Yes.
So maybe Ara also can. Do you need more sub discussion on this one, sir,
No,
or you can
I'm
just
probably
go?
going to see this person when I go to Jogja on the 20th for the talk, so we can just
Thank,
land in and.
thank you. So you can tag Jing to follow up on this on Pak Sumiana. Okay, moving on to the discussion about for global talent trends. Last week we discussed this, so this week we're supposed to discuss this with Jing and Vita. Come up with already reading the material. So
Yeah.
maybe from Mara first, since you are the one who put this, what were your expectations towards the discussion outcome?
Basically, this is just for you guys to. It's like a annual report, right? So I just like to tell. What is it? I just read these materials to know like what's up with the world. Well, these four major things that they explain about employee experience and also other things is major. There's like a maps if you can scroll down again. That one, yeah, where employee experience is most important. Well, Indonesian is not in it. I'm not sure
Southeast
why.
Asia.
Oh yeah, right. Okay. So yeah. So basically, this is just like for materials to read.
Yeah.
See. So like I just open any discussion if you guys have anything to discuss about this. But so far it's just maybe I would love to put it on the library.
Yes, sir.
Actually have a bridge here on a little bit of structure. So remember last week we talked about the controls that we have as recruiters to actually have something. I think this is actually another control that we do have. We do have some control over the employee experience, and we need to be more conscious of what those control points are. So those control points are actually every part of the employee experience, like signing up for their machine, getting their email account, getting their first
Mhm.
OKR lesson, getting prepared for a promotion review, undergoing orientation. These are all actually sequences in the employee experience, and I think we can be more maybe cautious of that. Those are our checkpoints of employee experience, and refine those points to be better, but also think about like should we add new checkpoints and new milestones along the way for employee
Mm.
experience. I did read this and I saw that there is some good news. It does seem like we do tip one
Yeah.
fairly well. We do respond.
Actually, I'm kind of like when I read this one, tip one, right? It was like, man, we did like a good progress because before ESS was just for us to get to know what their situation, but now like we do action towards the ESS, so we not just like listen, but we do act as well. So
Excellent. We've always acted. If you look
no, I
back
mean like
towards
after like
ESSs
the
from 2017.
no, I mean like you yourself stated right. Like if ESS was not meant to for us to follow up, it was meant just for us to get to know.
Right. What happened with the ESS was evolutionary too. So back in the day, we didn't necessarily have ESS was different because we had retrospectives, and in the retrospectives, people would say what they felt was
Oh yeah.
not correct about the company, and retrospectives were how would I say they were transparent. They were not anonymous. They were whatever, right? They were what's the
Oh
opposite?
yeah, I remember we do have retrospective.
Right.
Oh my god, that this was
You
used to
remember?
read to all hands, every all
Yeah.
hands, right?
Yeah.
With the names on it. Yeah.
So back in the day, we had retrospectives, basically where we would go after each month and we'd say what went well, what did not go well, and how things were. We put cards up, and we would look at if those cards had been fixed. Then we move the cards down the funnel. If they hadn't, they would remain. Somewhere along the line, we got really big, and instead of like I think actually listening to everybody one on one, we started thinking about okay, what's the aggregate? Because we were looking at employee experience in aggregate rather than what each person thought. So then when we looked at it in aggregate, we needed people to report the truth. So it was impossible to report the truth while not being anonymous. So we got like more aggregate information through ESS, but then it was anonymous, which made it really hard to be actionable. So I think the current balance is good because it seems like we're reinforcing one on one with ESS, and it's a lot more clear when people declare explicitly what the issue is, rather than sort of being anonymous. So it's no, I would say if you trace back until the very beginning, even if you go back to an all hands from 2017, we've always acted on making things better here. I can't think of two things that where we just let it stall. But perhaps, yeah, perhaps that was a condition of less visibility when we scale. Okay, yeah.
So the retrospective is like the negative reviews on guests right now, like it's resolved, and then
No, it was
No,
everything.
no, I mean like
it was working like itu loh, core value recognition, but in general, not just like the core value.
Yes, it was like in Vita. Okay, I see what like the community board, right?
yeah,
Yeah, sort of like the community board that we have now for hosts. So
yeah.
any issue that popped up would go there until it was resolved, and that was. Let me see if I can find retrospectives. Yeah, yeah, here they are. Wow, wow.
2 years ago.
Yeah, so we we got rid of the retrospective. I'm not sure how. I'm not sure why. Oh wow. Oh yeah. This was it. So this is from the beginning. So we were always listening to advice. So the good thing was we recruited Gabby, and that was yeah. This was when we first recruited Gabby. That was part of the good stuff. Um, we coordinated air support and had a fast response. We synced up, and we got better at squad organizing. We got puppies. That was Loki and Ginger at the time. We had undersupply management, which was overbooking, and hospitality tools. Following up on negative points in the retrospective, right? That was something that we back then did not do well, and apparently we still didn't do well, which
What
is the
does it
follow
mean
up.
with the
The plus means somebody upvoted it. Yeah, so
um,
they gave their vote on top of it. We were not good at best practices for market building, and market building was always kind of a mess before we had Trello and the current structure. We weren't good at getting to the hospitality score target. VIP guest concept didn't get fixed. Pricing strategy was still a struggle. Changu base was a struggle. Owner response was a struggle. Air support for day off was a problem. But you can see everybody stated it, so we could see where this was coming from, and it had more requests, and then expired requests, which was a problem too as well. So, and then let's see. You can see a lot of these are fixed now. We don't have as much issues with handoffs. Um, and then the bad could be improved. Bookings on new properties. We didn't get bookings on new properties before because nobody knew what they were. Now that's being taken care of. Journal pricing strategy and awareness is now fixed. Production for new property. New property is not getting any booking. Air support response. Awareness about empty inventory. Quick response from air support. Um, Written content and helpful information used to be a problem. Brand awareness for guests and property. API coordination for guilds. Air support response time. Out of base working. We need to. Oh my God! Back then we said we should get people out of the base. Everybody was at base too much, so we said you guys need to get out there and actually meet the guests. And
Now working the other way, yeah.
now it's kind of going the other way. Yeah. Um, we needed to flip roles so that everybody had a taste of everybody else's roles, and more market building was more involved in overbookings as a market building opportunity. So they could go and suggest new properties that were in the pipeline for any time overbooking happened. Clarity on targets. That was good because before we didn't have a way of tracking market building targets, and now we do. So there's KPIs and market building, pricing strategy on how to reach the monthly revenue target, accounting support. Um, so this has been going on ever since the very beginning. As you can see, some of these have been fixed. Some of these are still kind of ongoing, but I would say um, I think we've always been acting to and listening to what the parts that we wanted to fix are. Um, I think we went through a blind spot phase when we did ESS though. So okay, yeah.
Okay then. So any other discussions, sir, from your side? Oh, from yeah, sir. You can go first.
Go.
Okay. So from my side is also like remember when it was like last let's say last like the last quarter of last year when Bubu was still with us, like we were still struggling, right, about like giving birthday card, like these kind of things, because like everything it was overlapping. Here was actually stated like because we don't have like a dedicated person on the employee experience itself, so that's why like it's always like not enough people to do it, not enough budget, not enough time. Leadership doesn't prioritize it and cannot justify the investment, so that's why it's kind of like put behind. Like I think that's interesting as well to that. And what are the interesting thing like about employee experience is that more and more companies now substituting HR with employee experience.
Yeah, that's what's stated in the report.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Okay, interesting.
I would
And
let me.
also they also like so pro into high tech, so like HR is believed on this case that is going to be worked effectively with some tools and high technology that is being invented recently.
Yeah, that is helpful. Yes, sir. To you.
I don't necessarily believe that it's we need more people on an employee experience. I think what they're saying here is that the vision of HR is employee experience instead of thinking of it as HR. So if you think of like let's say traditional HR, they're more of an admin function, right?
Mhm.
So they're just kind of there, like the way tax consultants are there. They're just sort of administering things. Administration implies that there doesn't seem to be feedback. It's just sort of like a one-way thing. You do this, and this is just it. This is what company policy is, and you follow company policy. So thinking of it as experience is more of like an interactive approach. So thinking about how each touch point is actually, I think the employee experience starts from the very, 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 very beginning, from the first time people know about your brand. Like, how do they find out about your brand? Under what context that was discovered? You can also see different amounts of, let's say, experience between people who saw Bukit Vista as, let's say, a job versus they saw Bukit Vista as like, oh wow, this is really cool. This is like kind of like doing something interesting in the industry, and it's really thinking about like how that progression goes down. It's like almost like building a customer journey. How does the customer discover you? How do they do next? How do they do next along the way? It's not substituting HR. It's making like I think the consciousness of like, okay, your employees are your clients now, and how would you make it so that they are experiencing less friction along each pathway? Um, yeah, that's I think the big revolution in the way of thinking. Um, okay,
Yeah, I think it's gonna be actually instead of changing HR to employee experience, I think like experience is part of HR, so we can just evolve ourselves to put that as one of the concern for candidates and team.
Yeah.
So okay, back to you, chair.
So that's about the employee experience. Any other discussion on the people analytics? Yes, sir.
this I think is great. This is where we need to go.
Yeah.
Um, we
Actually,
go ahead.
you go first, sir.
Everyone's
Sorry.
so excited about this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The problem that the issue that we have right now with visibility in people is the same issue we had before. I think we had Tableau for bookings. We it's kind of vague, right? Everything's kind of vague. Like we don't really know how long. What is the average tenure of somebody working at Bukit Vista? What is the targeted tenure that we should try to achieve? How long is it between the first and second promotion? How many like hours are people putting in? All this stuff is actually really good material, because if we want to, let's say, build an employee experience, and there must be checkpoints, right? This is a checkpoint, and the next checkpoint, and then we have to see, well, what happens between checkpoints. And right now, it's sort of vague. It's all just like intuition. So I do think this is really important, and if we have tools that can sort of track this,
Yeah.
that would be really good.
I think if you can go scroll down, sir, again. This one. I think this is what we can actually focus on as well. Like as HR, like how do we measure our employee performance? The thing is, like I'm not sure like about the benchmark about like the ops, right? Like air support, for example, or host. We cannot like trace the quality, like yet. I mean, I don't know, like for that, for HR we can actually count like the time process, and then like MB, for example, the time to onboard like one property takes how many, how long, like the time, or content creating one listing. But like for host and air support is still kind of, I mean,
Yeah,
if
the SLAs.
yeah, but also like I'm thinking more into like like the, let's say, in the SLA it's saying, right, like the response rate no more than 1 hour. So how do we track this? That's the thing.
Looking
Like
at the
do we,
profile.
yeah, like do we go one by one and like we,
Hmm.
how about like on WhatsApp?
No, no. We can look at the communication scores from the guests that, let's say, are checked in
On the
under a certain
review?
profile. Uh, if we have a way of harvesting that, then we can say that you're responsible for the communication scores on these particular listings, right? Um, on overall response time, we can look at, let's say, the profile that that particular host or air support group is managing, and we haven't had a problem with this in a very very long time now. You can see that we always get back to people within an hour, and this is true across every profile. And the response rate is, it should be 100%, but I'm not sure it's 98. The other way that we manage, we can actually track host performance per guest now, or per host now. So if you look at the host, you can drag down and see each host's performance in terms of the guest that they're responsible for. So this is funny. Chandra got 80%, then 100%, and then 80%, and then 50% so far on her review distribution. Whereas if you take a look at maybe, let's say, D1, D1's getting 91, 92, 88, and 55 so far this week. So we do have actually more atomic ways of measuring hospitality now, too, as well. Perhaps in the future we can have such metrics also to like HR. Like, what is the average time to hire for what is the average time to hire for what's the average time to hire for your successor, right? And what is the percentage of people who, let's say, pass from hire to first promotion?
Probably.
And then how many people pass from first promotion to second promotion? And of course, there's a lot, afterwards, right? But
Yeah.
we just look at essentially what the selection contribution was. That's our metric. Did we select the right people? And what they do afterwards is really their own business. So I think we are getting to that world now where we can have much more definite metrics on people performance.
Where
Yeah,
did the
I
host
agree.
get the review from? So is it also from Airbnb?
Yes, these, I'm not sure how they're distributed, but
Yeah,
I
like the
th-
name.
I think it's based on each post coverage region. So whatever region they cover, then the reviews in that region are essentially stacked to that particular host. So if, let's say, Changu gets 100 positive reviews and that host gets 100 positive reviews.
Joel.
Let's see. Yeah, see what Joel is. 83, 90, 85, 93, 95. So better than some, not as good as others, but we can keep track now, which is pretty cool.
Okay. So any other discussion on people analytics? I think on people analytics, right? It's like we need to be like open as well about the analytics, meaning that I think one thing that before we can actually be open with people, we should understand our data first as well, so that when people ask, it's like we will be able to how do I say, to explain about the data itself. What does it mean, sir, by flight risk?
People who want to leave is a flight risk, right? Flight risk
Oh,
is,
flat, like,
yeah,
oh,
it's generally applied to jail. If you're a flight risk, they generally, if let's say you get arrested, right, and they say you have to go to court. If you're a flight risk, then they will ask a large bail, which is a deposit on your guaranteeing to come to court. If you're not a flight risk, then usually you have a small bail. But I don't know why that is used in HR now. I guess it's like I don't know, it's kind of like a term. But yeah, that's actually a pretty good metric. And evaluating recruiting channels is also a good metric. I mean, we're now we're paying for our channels, so we should
yeah.
see, yeah, what is the cost per hire on that channel? All right, how much money do we spend? How many recruits do we get?
Yeah.
Key. So that's for people analytics, and moving on to the next one, which is internal recruiting. Any discussion
Is
on
that like internal outsource sourcing people? Yeah, I think we're planning. We're going when exactly we're going to announce to people, sir, that we're actually giving bonuses for people that
have Alvin got
recommend.
the bonus for hiring Brian, so that we can
Let me
announce to the people.
see. Okay, what we did was this before, right? Let me check if Alvin. I don't think so. I don't think I actually, I'm not sure. I'll have to check that privately. Um, let's see. Oh, I gave Nadine the bonus. I remember that one. Yeah, because
For
that was
Andre.
actually for Andre. Yeah. We got rid of internal hiring bonuses because hiring became the full job of HR, right? But in this particular case, I think we can actually add another bonus on top of that. But then we have to decide: does HR get the bonus now for the recruit, or is it go over to the person, or does HR get like a reduced bonus because it's more not the seek, but more of the development of the person? Okay, I don't know how to roll this out yet because I'm not sure if is it the money part that's the motivation or is it something else that's the motivation, right? Like if we say, all right, let's give 2 million for every new hire that comes in. Um, does that actually then get us new hires, or is it something else? We tried this before, and it wasn't effective. That's why we developed an HR team. So,
I see.
yeah, on internal recruiting, you can think of it this way, right? The people who need hires the most have the most incentive to reach out and ask their friends to come and help them out, right? Content people, hosts, Rafik, Andy, these people have the most incentive, I think, to actually ask for help. But why are they not doing it? Or what's stopping them from actually getting it? Is it the money, or is it something else? Um, is it that they don't believe their friends will actually survive here, right? Or this isn't a good fit, or whatever it might be? Or do they keep their work and family life separate? So what I've seen actually be the highest turn is actually failed candidates who refer somebody else, right? Um, the people who don't make it oftentimes refer somebody else, and then that person makes it, which is actually pretty interesting to me. That might be the best sort of referrals. So in that process, maybe internal isn't so much the people who work here, but maybe the people who almost worked here.
I think also like from the articles, it says also internal hiring is about like promotion review, I guess. Like when we can plan out like the next the talent planning, like let's say where are they going to go for next. So it's kind of like, because it says about learning and development team to build like the skills needed for the future. So it means like um, it's like, let's say, instead of hiring a new host to check on profile one by one, why don't we escalate our internal tools to able to create BVARR at that time. I think it's
Right,
for
right,
that
right,
as
right,
well.
right.
Or like now,
Retooling,
like
automation.
instead of let's say like a solution before we find a market developer, and then we go for the MB clouds, things like that.
That part I think is very accurate actually. Like the internal can be actually Ghani's did it actually. So he was looking for a solution to help community using content. So that is kind of like an internal hire. You're going to somebody because ultimately at the end you're trying to get a process serviced by a person. But if that process can be serviced using another method, then it's essentially an internal hire. Um, there's another angle on this, ladies. I talked to Deba about this idea the other day, and she said we have a huge gap. Our interns,
What do you mean by gap with our internal hires or what?
the interns are the best internal hires, right? Why are we spending months
Uh,
and months and months finding new people when Dista, Devanda, and Boo Boo have already been trained here 3 months? We know they can do the work, so we should be actively courting them to come back, and we should be actively courting them to seek out other people to introduce to Bukit Vista, right? They had a great experience here. They probably would say good things about it, and they probably were top of mind already, right? It's a shame when the interns actually end up working for somewhere else because we haven't, invited them to let them know it's okay if you want to come and work here again. It saves us months. It saves probably 6 months right there. 3 months of hiring the wrong person 50% of the time, and 3 months of training. So 6 months of saved time just by being able to recruit an intern that's worked here and leveraging interns' networks to get more hires. Because when you're an intern, you have the strongest network. After you start working, your networks really go down a big amount, right? You're a newbie now in a new world. You don't have a strong network. Whereas a intern at a senior level in university, they have the biggest network they're ever going to have in college. So I think we have to be judicious about what we consider is the internal uh, hire in this particular case.
true. And at some point, I heard that there's a chance we were going to go back.
I heard that too, but I think we can count on that happening, right? It's sort of
Yeah.
like a sales process. You have to. The best way to make that happen, I think, is just to invite them frequently. Hey, look, we're going to have this event. Why don't you come? Hey, look, we're doing this. Come back. Hey, look, bring a friend. Right. The more often we invite them back, the more
Invite for events, sir?
anything. Or it can be, hey, look, I miss you. Why don't you come for lunch today? Right.
Oh,
Um,
I always invited him. He
yeah,
actually he went here at the base often for lunch, boo boo. Cause like I don't know, maybe because I feel like he was the one that working closely with me, and he also feel the same way. So I was like, hey, where are you? Please come by if you're around the area. And then he's like, yeah, 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 sure. So it's also working the other way around. He always notify if he's around here.
that's great. And ask Cynthia to do the same for Dista, and ask Gani to do the same for Devanda. I think no matter what, the relationships that if we keep good relationships with our interns is always positive. It's just that they think about you. So the next time maybe there's a campus opportunity, they just, oh yeah, you guys can come and talk, right? Like, and then we get much more connection with that. So that I think is the strongest element of our internal hiring capability at the moment that's not being exploited.
No, I would agree. So to the last big part of this article. Oh, by the way, Sir Divya came back on our, you know,
Oh, okay, great.
during the weekend.
Hey, nice one. Okay, all right. Thank you. Thank you for the heads up.
Sure. And then the last one was like, is multi-generational workforce? I think it's true though. I mean, like now, I mean, we don't have a lot of actually older people here, but yeah,
The older people are just rare. it's
they work
it's
in Kodak.
most older people know. I think now that their job now is their last job. Like if you don't if you're 50 and you get fired, that's it. You're probably not going to get another
Yeah.
job ever again. Um, it's probably ridiculous at that point.
But does it happen also like in other countries, sir?
Very much so.
Oh, okay. Because
Ageism.
like for example, my friend, right? Like
Mhm.
the Chloe, the Swiss friend. So her parents are actually like already old. Like I mean, I don't know. Chloe is like 30, so her parents maybe like 50-ish, right? So it's just like few years ago, like they resigned from the current job and then they're reapplying for a new job. Like it seems like common for like older people to actually reapply for a new job.
Do
Meanwhile,
they get a job?
yes,
Oh, they did. Okay. All right.
and I mean, meanwhile in Indonesia, like I don't ever see my dad is leaving his current job and then applying for a new job. It's like
Of
it's
course,
already there.
I think it depends on each person, Vita. Like depends what skill sets you have too, and depends like if like you work for the government, which your dad does, right?
Yeah, civil servant maybe, yeah.
Yeah. So if you're in the government, you're probably most likely to get hired by the government again, and then it's more like okay, it's more like a department transfer or wherever. I'm not sure how that world works actually, um, but this is generally the reason why it's hard to get a job when you get older. Two things. One, if you haven't reached a certain type of position, which is more like kind of a leadership position, then your skill sets are always going to be overvalued compared to someone younger than you. Let's say, for example, you have a technical skill. You're a software engineer. Well, great. The technologies are not the latest technologies anymore. So somebody can find a fresh college graduate with better qualifications, will accept a lower salary, work longer hours, be more dedicated, and you want high pay, you want more time off to be with your family, you want all these benefits, but you're unable to like exchange the same amount of whatever. So they generally say no. They generally will not give you if you're on a skill level. If you're at leadership level, it's also hard because if you get fired and a leadership position, it's hard to then move around. The leadership roles are very rare. It's not very often that they show up, and you don't have like a big pool of leadership jobs. And they will always ask your previous employer, "How did you?" Or they don't even need to ask. It's usually public, right? The last company that you led failed, so why would we hire you? So it's really hard if you don't have enough hustle to get, let's say, a job. So in general, the older you get, the more you want to be an owner. You want to own and not have to work at all anymore to earn your pay. That's every person's eventual goal. I got friends at Facebook. They're almost 40. They're really worried. They're scared to death. I mean, they're really afraid because if they get fired, that's it. That's pretty much that's going to be their last job. Um, or they have to take a big step down and then build back up again, and it can be really tragic. So you can see 10% of boomers are in that category, but it seems like Gen Z is coming up now too. It's how many Gen Z people do we have in the company?
All the interns.
Nadine, the interns, Andre.
Wow.
Um, yeah, these are the youngest.
Okay.
The people that we got problems with when we want to go to La Favela.
Oh yeah, right. That's like the get-to. Like every time we want to hang out, like after work, like
Yes.
wait,
The
we
kids.
cannot.
And I think it's also because it's the next 5 years, right? So like the
Mm.
Gen Z are like starting to graduate from uni and things.
Yep.
I think the perfect example for this one is actually for multi-generation work. First is like Genius, if the card, the financial plan. So Genius is actually like a subsidiary from BTPN, right? BTPN is like for pension, like old people and blah blah blah. And then now they would try to penetrate the millennial market by actually creating Genius. So I have a friend who worked in Genius before, and what she told me was like everyone in Genius was really like so different, just so different with BTPN itself. Like all are like millennials, young people like with like innovations things. So it's kind of like when you want to be accepted in the market, then you also need to shape the your internals. So,
Yep. Yeah. Hire the people that are like the people you want to pursue.
yeah, exactly. Right then. So, is there any other discussion on this article? I believe that we've discussed like all the four discussion the global health. Yes, sir.
I have a
Which one?
really good question. Do you guys feel any sort of intergenerational conflict with Gen Zs?
Wait, I'm a Gen Z, right?
How old are you?
I'm 97.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm
you
a Gen.
are. Yeah. That's right. That's right. It's 96 is the last millennial.
Gen Z.
No.
Wait,
I think it's 96. Wait, let's see. Nobody has this defined exactly, but
I'm late 90s. I'm a Gen.
I think you are a Gen Z. Actually, that makes sense. I was starting to think here. Wait, let's. Can you do that? 95 to 2010.
So I'm a Gen Z as well.
Yeah, I'm a Gen Z.
Or let's see the other one defined. Uh, Interesting. 29. Okay. All right.
If this one is 95 to 2015.
Okay. Gen Z 95. Yeah, it seems like 95. 96 is definitely 96 is the cutoff. Well, I think if you're right in the edge, you're probably a blend. Like me, I'm the oldest millennial. I was 81.
Gen X. I
Yeah.
see.
So I kind of have Gen X tendencies and also have millennial tendencies. No, I'm the ultimate millennial. I took like a 2, 3 year gap year after college. I had like a quarter life crisis. I was the first person I knew to have a quarter life crisis. I didn't know what it was. It was like, why am I feeling so weird? And then later it was like, oh, it became a thing. Um, but that's also something like Gen X's talk about when I was your age, right?
When I
Um,
was your age.
but okay, well, uh, do you feel like there's a difference in the way, let's say, Nadine processes things and the way that you process things?
But the thing is,
I
like,
think so.
we're in the same category, right? Gen Z.
You're Gen Z.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nadine as well in Gen Z.
I feel the same with you and different with you.
I've noticed Gen Z tends to be less cynical than millennial.
Less what, sir?
Less cynical. Less
Um,
cynical. Millennial people tend to be a little bit cynical. Maybe that's just older people in general.
I think because like in
now,
Gen Z, we don't really see like a lot of threat,
Right.
so we don't get cynical about
The
things.
longest continuous prosperity, except September 11th, which was before your time, right? When was September 11th? 2009, right? Okay.
2001 katanya.
2001.
So still,
Okay, still within. But you had been 6.
yeah,
Okay, so barely
five.
barely aware of the global terrorism movement. Okay, all right, interesting. Yeah, that's right. And then things got a lot safer after that.
Yeah, it's just about
Yeah.
climate.
Yeah, about climate. Yeah, that's true. Okay. Yeah, interesting.
Any other discussion from Ara, maybe?
What?
Any other
No.
discussions? Okay,
No.
so let's get back to the main paper for today discussion. So, Mrs. Secretary, can you put this in our library and delete that from the old business?
Yes, I
Thank you
will.
very much. So, okay, next one is your program timeline. Do you have any updates?
Yes. So Joja on the 20th, and I've been asking Ara if you could stack up more appointments for the physical discussion. That would be good. So if we can go there 1 or 2 days and meet everybody and give as many talks as possible, entice as many interns as possible, that would make the best result. So you're working with what was the tourism school there in Jogja called?
Anta, Ambarumong,
Oh, okay.
pariwisata school, sekolah
Are
tinggi
there
lah.
any technical schools for content development, like videography? Okay,
There
and-
is MMTC.
okay,
Memphis.
Maybe those places too, and then we can just all go over. Maybe we'll bring a few
Clara
content.
will be here, no?
She might.
Yeah, I might.
It's okay.
So, but I mean, like, I wish if I finished within the 20th, I'll go back with you.
Lock out.
Okay, so that's the big update. Loki, out. Loki, out. And then the 15th, he's afraid of me because I kick his ass. Respect. All right. On the 15th, we have a talk with Patular. Tular is coming to Bali, and he's
On
he's
the
gonna,
what?
on the 15th. Patular is coming to STP
I was
BE.
there when he was there.
Yeah, he's going to be there for 2 days. So he's coming to STP BE to have a talk, and we're going to STP BE for the same talk. So that's pretty funny. And apparently he's working. I've assigned Tendy to find him accommodations somewhere in that area.
Let's
He
see.
comes because
So
he
he's
knows
going to. It's gonna be so awkward. But anyway, so he's going to like. What is he going to do related to Bukit Vista?
He wants to talk to us because he's coming to Bali to do some sort of event at STP BE, Windy and Eva School. And so we're also going there too for some event. So it's probably the same event. It's basically next Saturday, actually. So it's a week from today. So that's the most recent next update from STP and Ugaya at the same time.
Okay.
Cool, yeah.
At the
Not
same
that-
time as Ara
Yeah.
is here.
We'll bring her so that she can meet Patula
What a coincidence, right?
and have an awkward moment.
Yeah, like it's like meeting X, you know.
No, it's not.
He
No, it's
is
not.
your ex.
No, because
Exactly.
like, he was my supervisor, right? He was my supervisor, and now I'm doing.
You have to dilute it over time, right? Diluted over time, the X becomes the something else.
That's okay. I'll meet him.
Sure. Okay.
I'm so excited to meet him.
And there's something you are, sir? Okay then. So meaning that the closest one is to STPBI and then to Jogja.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the next one is from my side. I haven't had any other discussion with Dominic actually with this one.
I think she's on her way already, right? She's already okay.
With the timeline that we also talked before.
Oh.
And then
Shall we delete it, Miss Chair?
yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Mrs. Secretary. So the work anniversary. So how is it with Gani's work anniversary, Ara, that you will be here?
Oh, it did. We did the anniversary already, right? We had movie night together with everyone. It was so fun. Because yeah, pokoknya it was so fun because Andre was terrified with the movie and everybody bullied him. But it was fun. But like, yeah, the pictures are actually dark. That's what Gani said. Yeah. So, but he will upload it.
You guys can watch Netflix from the room upstairs now.
Can you give access, sir? Because I'm not. You haven't told me what's the password and the email.
Sure. I'll give you a passport. Yeah. You need two. You need the VPN and then you need Netflix.
Or you can just download Opera. That's what I'm using.
Oh yeah?
You know, Opera has the VPN. So
Very good. All right.
okay. So maybe
Good hack.
Mrs. Secretary, you can tag to tag yourself to ask Jing about the password. How about the Stars Target celebration in Jogja, Ara?
That's my question. I'd like to consult with you guys. So since I'm gonna be with Bali team right on Monday to celebrate it, and then all these guys, I've already actually talked to them. Like, the first plan is actually having it on the next weekend, which is next Sunday, right? But I am not gonna be in here. So then they said that actually if we want to postpone it, that's gonna be fine to wait for you until you get back. That's what they said. So I'm leaving to the floor. Like that's from them. Like, what do you guys think?
It's fine.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I think it's also fine if everyone says so. Then not right.
Okay. But I'll be back like most likely the fastest on the 20th, right? So
Invite Devanda and Dista. and boo boo.
That's possible.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's what celebrations are for. They're kind of like HR events, right? For
Okay.
recruiting, for employee experience.
Okay.
Yes.
And on
Okay.
Bali, we will have.
Apa?
No, I was just saying for the Bali plan this Monday. You'll join, right?
Yes. Finally, I joined a Bali-based celebration because it's been a long
Oh,
time, right?
shit. This reminds me then. Since Ara will be here physically, should we plan out or roll out the HR day out?
What is the HR day out?
I don't know, like the three of us HR, we bond together going out. I don't know.
That's a good idea.
Nusa Penida, Nusa
That's a good idea.
Lombok
Okay, yeah, I would
for
like that.
one
Yeah.
day.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah, I
Let's
think
do
we
that.
need to have sometimes three of us, or as an HR.
Yeah, like outside of work, like this.
But I was telling Vita, like, is Jim going to say yes? Because like,
No, that's a good idea. I think that's a great idea. Yeah, let's do it. That'll be kind of fun. It'll be sort of like yeah,
Bonding time.
yeah. I'll look like really cool. Yeah. Sure.
Okay then. So we will discuss about that later once Ara is here.
Okay.
All right then. Moving up. Sir. Do we have any discussion? Yes, from you, sir.
All right. Here it is. I'm thinking a lot about this because recently I thought about actually I was thinking about recruiting. I was thinking about your particular learning course this month, and it comes from the idea of really. I think this is the serenity prayer, right? As I get older, this is my go-to wisdom sort of phrase. Grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. And it's so true. If you always feel frustrated, things aren't going your way, whatever, it's probably because you haven't figured this out yet. And it takes everyone a while to figure this out. But I think the process of starting this is really knowing the framework of what we can control. So I actually was writing and then I wrote some more and then I wrote some more and I realized, wow, this is a really good framework to start a chapter. How do you really start a chapter? You think about this. You think about what factors do you really control. So currently, let's say in the HR framework, not the EX framework yet, but let's just say in the recruiting framework, we control selection. We control the selection by phone screening, video interviews, on-site interviews, and job offers. We control attraction by advertising and by promoting, by maybe even getting our own team to share and post on their LinkedIn. We can control how many impressions that we can get, right? So we have some control over that with our budget. And we have control, we have a lot of control over timing. We can make the recruiting process as efficient or as slow as possible. We can make it as fast or slow as possible. If we want to just pick a person and say you're hired, we can do that. It's up to them whether or not they will accept, but we can actually time it so that we can make that decision as fast as we want. So the things I wanted to think about was this, right? And this is where the discussion was going to happen. Think about whether we can control these things or not and just isolate them. Factors we do not control is whether or not the candidate will follow up. We don't know if a candidate will show up for an interview, and we don't know if a candidate will drop out during the process. That's not us to decide. But what you can do is don't think too much about the individual case. Think more in general about the last 50 candidates that you process. Now, did you actually have a high dropout rate or did you have a low dropout rate? And maybe think about in that past 50, are you doing better in the last 10 than the first 10? So that you can improve your dropout rate, for example. So that's something you can have control over. Maybe it's you're not attracting the candidate. Maybe they're not persuaded that Bukit Vista is the right place for them. Or they might feel intimidated to actually apply here. Think about your timing. Maybe your timing is not ideal and it's taken too long between each stage of the interview. And so there's too much inertia. Stop and go interviews generally produce mediocre results compared to fast follow-up. And selection. Think about the people that you're selecting to interview, the people that you're selecting. Maybe they don't have good career fit. Maybe they're not very serious about career. So think about these factors. These are factors you control. You can't control whether or not a candidate will accept the offer, but you can control the timing You can reduce the likelihood of an objection early. So talk about the pay range, talk about the work hours, talk about the things that would suck up front so that the timing of, let's say, a rejection, you would have better control over when they would reject. You can control the selection and attraction. Do you actually know how much the candidate is currently getting paid? All right. So this is what the talk with experts is useful for. If you know this role in Jakarta pays this range, then you can select a person, and when you see their role, you know about how much they would be paid for that, and then you can compare it with their salary package and know, all right, is this person likely to actually cross over or not? And do you know how to negotiate? Maybe pay isn't the only thing this person's concerned about. They have family, they have career choices, they have lifestyle choices. So understand what it is that they really want and be able to leverage that to get the person to accept the offer. So that's just persuasion technique. Um, Candidates not passing probation. Mostly it's due to selection. Let's say, can you find the part that we can control, let's say, right, is can we actually look for people with more proven growth and timing? Can we actually implement more aggressive filters earlier on to understand that this person should fail earlier rather than later during the probation process? So these are just some ideas that I tossed up for just ideas to control what you can control and don't control the things that you don't have that much control over. So here's me trumpeting myself. Here's a little speaking on behalf. So I made one improvement, I thought, and this is not to celebrate my own achievements, but also to give a little framework so that you guys can see what PCC is, right? So by using the risk matrix, I believe that is a process competency going towards process excellence if it works. And this is improving selection and timing for what we do in HR. So it puts more control on timing for Bukit Vista. It reduces the chances of bad hires, and it resets our expectations for what recruiters want to be. There was one I discovered just this morning on LinkedIn selection, and this also improves the timing. So let me give a demo real quick and show you what used to happen. So if I may.
Yes.
Okay, so here before, let's say for example, we go and we do the recommended matches. Okay, so we're going through recommended matches, and we simply, let's say for example, this person looked good. He's a digital media manager, and we just one-click message. When we one-click message, that message is this message, right? Da 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 da. You're great. You're great. You're great, and that's it. But what if you change that and you save everybody some time and you just do this? Okay. I noticed that a lot of people who had been invited to apply, their first question is, can you tell me more about the role and your company? So in the very first message you send to them, you include that information about the role, the company, and you give them the ask. Please send us the WhatsApp number if you're interested. Now we've reduced the time, we've improved the time. Instead of having two engagements, one engagement, are you interested in applying? And then they say, okay, yes, tell me about the role in your company. You've already preloaded that information to the front. And then they get back to you, it will just be a WhatsApp and you can dive right into it. So that now shrinks the amount of timing involved in so this is process competency. And I looked at this guy and he was good. So we're just going to send this over to them. And if he gets back to us, WhatsApp is already there, right? So think about this when you think about recruiting. Don't think about the things you don't necessarily have a lot of control over. I applaud Vita on actually doing the salary review. I think that was actually a really good step into controlling a process that is fixed. But let's say, for example, we believe now the salary packages are competitive. We believe that we're paying on par with what other companies are based on the stats I've seen LinkedIn too as well on JobStreet. So then it's just a question of, okay, have the factors. If you think that there's more factors we can influence, please put it in, and then just work on only the factors that we influence, and think about on the things that you don't influence, how to work on the factors that you can influence, not on yeah, ultimately we're working with people and everyone has a choice. So just work on the stuff that we can work on, and the rest we have to leave up to the person themselves. And that is a great tip for management too. Okay, all right. So I would like to actually propose this as an ongoing document and a challenge also. Hey, go ahead. Okay. Um, think about this when you sharpen your saw this month, all right? If you do think, hey, I'd like to improve the process a bit. I've learned this about recruiting. Please contribute here. This is a good place, and this is excellent for also understanding your own career progress. Have you actually made process competency improvements, process excellent contributions? Okay.
Okay.
Okay, noted. So this is a ongoing paper.
Yeah, this is a project, and if
Okay.
I'm good, this is leadership competency.
All right then. Thank you, sir. If we may go back to the main paper. So, Mrs. Secretary, maybe you can put that on the last row. So since this is an ongoing project. Thank you. So that's all that we have on our table today on Saturday, and we passed 8 minutes for today's discussion. So I'll just motion to adjourn the meeting, but before that, we can change the next chair. Chair, yes, the date will be Tuesday, um, 11th of February, and then chairperson will be Ara. Um, and then secretary will be still will be Jing. No?
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah. And then I will be the recorder for Tuesday. So motion to adjourn the meeting. Do I have a second? Second. See you next Monday.
Okay. So, by the way, sir, do you need your pita, your gudeg is here. Or do you need anything from Jogja?
You bring a good night. Wait.
Yeah. Pita.
All the kettle can.
Your voice is like robotic. I'm not sure why.
Oh, anything. Job. Harvest the bike.
Your voice is cracking, sir. I'm not sure. Robotic,